So let's talk about polar amplification. In very simple terms, it means the heating of the polar regions, which is the Arctic and Antarctica. But Arctic more than Antarctica, because Arctic is an ocean which is surrounded by landmass, whereas Antarctica is a landmass which is surrounded by ocean. So when the sunlight hits and there's not enough snow or ice sheets to reflect back the sunlight into space, the ocean traps the sunlight, which is also called the albedo effect. The albedo effect is actually the major reason why the polar regions like the Arctic is warming. It accounts for at least 30 to 60% of why the ice is melting in the Arctic. There are of course other reasons, but this is one of the major reasons why. And of course we know the impacts of the polar regions heating. It will inevitably lead to sea level increase if the ice sheets melt. There are also other reasons like convection, water vapor, heat trapping, ocean circulation, shifting pattern weathers. So convection is basically in the tropics, when the sunlight hits the surface of the earth, the hot air rises while the cold air sinks, obviously because of the density. And this is what convection is. So here the atmosphere in the tropics where we live, for example, is very evenly distributed with hot and cold air. But in the Arctic, the angle at which the sun hits the Arctic, so for example, if this is the polar region, right, and the sun hits like this at a very low level, like this is the angle, it hits a larger area, which makes convection very difficult. So the atmospheric mixing of hot and cold air is very difficult. So the heat is trapped at the surface of the earth, surface of the polar region basically, which makes it easier for it to warm faster. Similar is ocean circulation. So hot ocean water being circulated to the Arctic, and there it gets trapped and essentially makes the Arctic Ocean warmer. Water vapor, same thing. When the atmosphere is hotter, it can hold more water vapor. Water vapor then acts like greenhouse gases and essentially leads to more warming. Now, I will link a couple of, good reads. I'll link 3, which were very, very good. Like they vary in level of difficulty to read. And I think they give more and more in-depth analysis of why polar amplification is something everyone should be talking about and why it's important in terms of climate change.